Welcome to the Women of the Future interview series, a project aimed at showcasing and celebrating the top female changemakers in Web3 and the Metaverse using emerging technologies as a force for good in the real world. This is an initiative conceptualized by empowered women empowering women. My name is Elizabeth Irizarry, and today I would love to introduce Yolanda Barton, inclusive immersive storyteller, XR and music evangelist, founder and CEO of RevereXR, inclusion architect, speaker, cultural content creator, diversity and inclusion leader. Oh my God, what a mouthful. I am so honored to be in your presence. Welcome, Yolanda.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, hearing all those titles is one thing because I sum that all up in one word, Yolanda. Like that is just who I am. But I'm so excited to be at a place in the world where the things I'm most passionate about are thriving, and you see amazing women leaders in this space. It's just a great opportunity and moment in time to be me.
We can't wait to dive deep into Yolanda. Please share with us your backstory. We need to know. We need to know where you come from, how'd you get here, and what was your aha moment into Web3?
Oh, it's the aha moment. I have to start with that because it really includes the story of my background and how I became. I'm born and raised in Seattle, Washington, and I was always around music from every age in life. And I saw this growth in genres taking place in my neighborhood. I saw world renowned musicians launch their careers in my neighborhood and influence music all over the world. And that was always a very exciting community to be a part of. After returning and after having a family and returning many years later, that neighborhood was no longer there. And I couldn't really find a trace of that music history or the people or all the amazing things I witnessed. I just felt like, then how do we pass this down to future generations? How do we make what took place here accessible? And how can we erase stories that are so priceless to our history, right? Like musicians like Quincy Jones and Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain and Ernestine Anderson and Sir Mix-a-Lot. And that list is literally too long to name. But to not have their stories preserved really felt like a dilemma. And I think whether it's gentrification or upscaling of neighborhoods, a lot of communities are at risk of losing their history. A lot of cities are paving over their history. And I really wanted to take that moment to say, okay, I can't solve the larger issue of displacement, but I can think about how can we preserve this history. And when I put on a headset for the first time in graduate school, it was the greatest moment and discovery of my life. And I decided my life work would be around preserving our priceless moments in music, in history, in heritage, and making it available for future generations to experience, not just read about, but actually experience it. And in immersive technology, that history becomes living history. Who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want to experience what they don't have access to based to when they were born or what geographic location they lived in? There's a lot of music greats and a lot of history I didn't get the chance to experience, but through immersive technology, we can. And so I focus on the opportunity to say we're including all that history, all the gems, all the treasures from all the cities, and that makes it inclusive because everyone belongs. Everyone's stories can be valued in this space. And so that's what I'm offering is XR preservation and an opportunity to include our stories in the metaverse, stories we would not otherwise have access to. And that is inclusive, immersive storytelling.
As you were speaking, I literally just wrote story preservation, and then you said XR preservation.
XR preservation.
And I'm like, it's story preservation.
It's
memories. I agree. I had the same, I think, experience when I first put on my first headset. A little resistant head on, kind of like, I don't want to get stuck in this virtual world. And I put on my first headset, and the immersion, the emotions that I felt, it triggered something in me. And I was like, people need to remember things that it's maybe difficult for them to remember. Because time goes on and our memory just starts to fade and our memories start to get lost a little bit. So I love this idea of story preservation. It's extreme.
And so I took that concept into graduate school, worked through 2 master's degrees, started a doctorate, and really just focused on the theory of what it meant to preserve our stories. How do we document these stories? How do we portray them in immersive environments? I got a great opportunity to speak at Oculus about my research and the work that I was doing. And then from there, I joined Oculus Launchpad. And, the opportunity to create the application was life-changing.
Wow, what an incredible journey you've had so far. I'm sure
Thank
along
you.
the way there were some challenges, and like anyone else, like we love to look at the challenges in a positive light because they help us get to where we are today, and that's how we create solutions, because we find the problems that we are kind of encountering along the way, and then here are the challenges. But like any challenges, obviously, we are in this new age of the metaverse and Web3. It's still the days of this. What do you think is the biggest barrier for maybe some of this mass adoption? Because when you talk about story preservation, I would believe that was an easy concept to at least get people to get on board with. Like, let's preserve our stories. But then when they're like, wait, you can't do that with technology. How do we preserve our stories with technologies? Did you face some challenges in trying to bring people kind of on board to this journey with you?
So many challenges. And you really hit something on the head right there, Elizabeth. So one of the greatest challenges I'll say overall is there's still so many people that haven't put on a headset.
Mm.
Like, we haven't tapped into the power of this technology, and we're moving at light speed with what we want to do with it and on to the next, but we really haven't had the opportunity to put this in enough people's hands to really see the power of it yet. So there's that part, right? Like, where is everyone's entry point going to be? Because I'm not necessarily a gamer. I find some value in them, but I'm looking for something a little different. You and I experienced something, which was we were thinking about the future of what this technology could do and how we could use it in different ways. But that might be because I already had the mentality of wanting to create something. So walking into it, my entry point was, what can I create with this? With someone else's, what game can I play with this? But that's still a lot of people that don't have an entry point. There's still a lot of global audiences that have not yet had the opportunity to be captivated by this tool. And the only way that's going to happen is if we really expand our reach, but also expand our use. So I think introducing music history in such an experiential way, in a 3D environment where I can experience the venues, the legacies, the music, interact with their story, learn the history of their neighborhood, and be able to experience that in so many different ways, including music opens up a door, including history opens up a door. We tend to be enthusiastic about art and culture and heritage and music. And when we start to see the intersection of that in the metaverse and Web3 and in XR platforms, I think that's when we'll see the real adoption. I think about a lot of young girls who've never had the chance to put a headset on, and they're also just questioning where they belong and what the future holds for them. I want them to feel more empowered than that. I want them to know that they can create the future and the digital world that they want to live in. They only need the opportunity to be exposed and to really play and expand their imagination and design what they want the world to be in. So I think some of those challenges, like I said, are we haven't had enough opportunities to put headsets on everyone. And that's a mission at RevereXR. We are going to make sure no community is left behind, no groups are left behind, because this powerful tool can provide solutions to different community dilemmas. And we just need to give people the opportunity to do that.
What a powerful message, and just mission and initiative altogether. And I love that, because like I agree with you. I think we have to also have a good communication strategy on how we approach these tools, because I think often people have some sort of resistance, and there will always be resistors, and I had this experience with my friends. We're very grounded people, very spiritual people, and then I'm the one kind of in the technology side, and they're like, no, 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 not happening. You can't convince me. Did a thing at my house, put on an Oculus headset on them, and now they're like, oh my God, this meditation that we just did. Can you imagine? I'm like, yes, but can you imagine? Just that was the moment. And people can't get to the can you imagine sometimes just on
Yeah.
what the media presents, what the communication needs to be around what it can solve around storytelling. And it's almost like you just have to try it for yourself. Obviously,
Mhm.
that's going to take some time for the mass adoption to get there. but we're slowly working our way to that. What kind of tips and insights do you have for those who would like to enter and learn more about Web3, but maybe are kind of like my friends where they feel a little resistance. They're not sure what to believe. They get stuck into this idea that technology is going to consume their lives versus finding opportunity in it.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I first think we have to address the elephant in the room. And I'm so glad you gave that example. There really isn't an understanding that technology can play a role in a conscious, positive, liberated lifestyle. And where does that belief come from? It comes from a lack of trust based on some of the things that we've seen technology do. It's questions, people question the motive. They question the companies. They feel uncertain and unsafe about what's going to happen to their data. We still haven't dealt with some of the challenges that technology has presented because it hasn't been managed well. And that makes people feel uncertain about taking that leap. But again, we don't have to just allow people to create the world we live in. We can be a part of creating that too. So you really have this moment right now. And what we say at RevereXR is please plug in and play. Plug in and put that headset on. And you don't have to worry about what you do know or what your level of expertise is in gaming or technology. Just play and explore. That's your only job, is to just play, explore, and learn what's out there and engage with it. See what you like, see what you don't like. Think about what you wish was there. We're all waiting for this moment to engage, and the truth is you just have to plug in. I would say that there is something in Web3 for everyone. You don't have to be an expert in NFTs. You don't have to be an expert in 360. You don't have to be an expert in anything. You also can just be someone that observes and engages and enjoys the leisure of playing and finding areas that really speak to you. But you can also be a producer of information too. You can also create something that contributes to a space that you want to see grow. And there is this decision that we have to make. Are we really going to sit back and watch the same sort of divisions that are taking place in the real world affect us in the digital world? Or we have this moment right now where we can sort of redefine our human story and become who we should be, who we want to be. And we can create those worlds in a digital world. And all it takes is for people to plug in, play, expand your imagination, dream and discover, and then let's design and create something that really speaks to us and can help define a real sense of inclusion. And not just the word, it's the oversaturation of the word. At its greatest, we're not innovating if we're not able to celebrate people's differences and see those differences as strengths. And in the digital world, I see that as the greatest opportunity. Our differences can create a whole new pathway in the metaverse for people to engage. What do we want their entry point to be, And that's part of making it accessible and giving people the opportunity to put it on. So whether you are a developer or a producer, you own a company, you make headsets, whatever it is, what opportunity are you taking to introduce to this technology to change the way a group of people can think about the world that they want to live in, and maybe even design a world that we can interact in?
Wow, incredible. There's so much to unpack there. I wrote producer of information, find a real sense of inclusion. I love that. And in the different sense, right? Not in, like you said, it's like we've gotten oversaturated and people just have lost sight of what truly inclusion
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
And so that brings me to a point. I know I read here that you've done some consulting with clients to create innovative diversity and inclusive programs. What does that look like? I know that we're very focused in Web3 on really making this like like immersive, even it's in inclusion, because I think it's necessary to build out this metaverse's future of technology in a way where it captures everyone. And
Yeah.
this is what I love that you said. It really ties perfectly in with becoming a producer of information, so that in the least of it, you don't have to be a coder, you don't have to get into
No.
blockchain, you don't have to build a metaverse, but you can be a producer of information. And that, I think, is so important, because we can easily sit back and complain about where technology goes, or we could be a part of it. So can you
That's
speak
right.
to some of these? It's not always easy to maybe be a part of it because maybe you have some just challenges along the way. You come from a different location. You're not in the US, you're in another country. What are those kind of programs or curriculums that you've built? And is there any insights that you could share with us that would be beneficial to the
Sure.
audience?
Absolutely. So there's a few ways that I serve people. And I really think of the inclusion architect as it facing all of these different levels, whether it's tech or corporate leadership. At the end of the day, people really need an opportunity to step back and really look at what they're building. If you are a leader and you have a workplace and a workplace culture, how are you fostering a sense of togetherness, belonging, safety, trust, and collaboration in your organization, right? So, what is inclusion? How is it being defined in your organization now? How do you want it to be defined? And we take an x-ray of your organization, right? And I call that an inclusion audit. It's an opportunity to audit, like, what are the beliefs and attitudes that are driving your workplace culture? What is your recruitment strategies, right? And how are you defining leadership? Okay, well, then here's your current definition of how you're fostering inclusion in all of these different areas. Now let's chart the course. Where do you want to be? What is a natural fit? I mean, I think just plastering the word on your social media and website does no justice. Not to the people in your organization, not to the workplace culture, not to your future employees. We can all see through that. The opportunity to have the conversation and say, this is my story, this is the founding of my organization, and how does inclusion fit in the definition? How can I foster this engagement and relationship with my workplace in a very organic way that speaks naturally to who I am and my organization? That is really difficult because not everybody's really ready to have that conversation or that step. I do love when organizations do it because then we get the opportunity to strategize something that didn't exist and see it unfold and bloom in a way where people become advocates and ambassadors of their job and their career, and they love working in places where they feel valued. It's the impact that makes a difference for me. But for some organizations, they just want me to come speak. Please help us define what it means to turn our differences into strengths. Please help us understand how we can have more high performance collaborations among our teams. There really is no facet that inclusion doesn't play a role in. But when I found technology, I decided, well, tech needs it the most. And we've built headsets that aren't comfortable for some people based on their hairstyles, right? Or their head types. Where was the conversation in that? How do we make technology accessible and easily adoptable by people who are different than us? So, you can begin with just a question that you don't even have to give the answer out loud. You can keep it in your head. But when you look at you and your table and the people around you and the people you're hiring and the people you're having conversations with every day, whether it be about the physical world or the digital world, where are the differences taking place? Where are people challenging your views? Where are people from different perspectives, different lived experiences, different backgrounds, different cultures playing a role in that vision? If they aren't there, then you're not actively a adopter or promoter of inclusion. And that doesn't mean to quit. That
Mhm.
literally means to ask the difficult question and find people like myself or others that you trust to help get some guidance on how to foster it. Really, I think with the expansion of the digital worlds, every single person is going to have a definition of what inclusion means to them and how they are actively adopting it and creating actionable steps around it in their lives and in their professional careers. It's going to be something that is an expectation. As our world becomes more colorful and our ability to express freedom in that, people are being left behind. And if we can take the time to think about those who are being left behind, that's our first step towards inclusion. Because then we're saying, I recognize there are people that aren't sitting at this table with me who have valuable contribution, and we need more input and we need more collaboration. And we will only achieve innovation. This is my greatest message to you leaders out there who think you understand inclusion. You will only accomplish true innovation if you can find the most inclusive collaborations and really foster that and strategize around that. It's the differences at your table that will lead you to innovation, not more of the same.
Wow, I love that. I wrote instantly, one size does not fit all.
Not at
Express
all.
freedom. And
Mm.
how do you express freedom if that's not, I feel like ultimately that's what the metaverse is like inching towards. It's this like
I'm hoping.
freedom of identity, freedom of expression, this creator economy. And then how do we actually get there? I don't think we're having enough conversations on how to make that an inclusive space and not just bring in the building of it all, but like where are the people, who is putting in the data? Just like we know with AI, the data
Yeah,
matters, data
it
matters.
matters. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It matters. Yeah. And our greatest opportunity is to find the bridge, right? I'm a bridge. I'm a connector. Let's connect you to different communities, right? You don't have to know how to access everyone. You only need to be willing to take the step.
Mm, absolutely. And there is a beautiful thing about this kind of ecosystem. There is a lot of community. And so it's very easy to get into so many micro communities and connect. It's all there, but are we bridging them together? And that's
That's
a really
right.
good point. So I'd like to look into the future a little bit. What are you most
Mm.
excited about for the future? Can you share something that inspires you in the space that you're working in, maybe what's important to you? And maybe kind of, I would wonder, what's the legacy you would like to create?
Oh, I just want to scream from the roof about the stuff that I'm working on. All I can say is stay tuned. The new year is going to be really exciting. But what I will say I'm looking forward to, oh, what inspires me, it's the women leadership. I see women coming from every corner of the world, really owning their path, their story, not being apologetic about it, defining how we're going to be moving forward in this new space, valuing each other. There is this amazing coming together that I see. I think there's a new era of women leadership on the rise. You know, we tend to get labeled as the emotional ones, but we're probably the ones that won't go to war. We'll just solve problems. And what I love is that the women leadership I see is really actionable. It's not a gimmick. It's not people just sort of having great speaking points and promoting an agenda. I see a lot of action, and that means that there will be a lot of impact. And that means there will be more future generations of young girls ready to take the charge and to lead the future where it's going. It's really that generational opportunity, you know, whether it's generational wealth or the just creating the drive for young girls to say, and I'm going to own an animation lab, and I'm going to create an experience in the metaverse, and here's the world I want to create. Like, we are looking at people at the opportunity to really shape our future through the youth, and that is super exciting. The other thing that I just can't wait to do more of is bring lived history of music and entertainment and communities, and introduce that to schools through XR education. Like, our kids in schools need headsets, and they need to be having emotional and empathetic experiences that will drive an understanding for like global leadership and how we want to define our story. We just, the more we put this in our youth's hands, the better off we'll be. um, and I'm really excited about some of the gimmickiness of the metaverse and Web3 sort of being shed. And let's get to the real disruption. Let's get to what these new norms look like that inspire a better human story, right? That make us want to dive in, that make people want to plug in and put a headset on and see that there is something for everyone if we all contribute.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh, you're leaving me speechless. Like, and I'm writing things down. I'm like, let's get to the real disruption. I'm on board
Yes.
with that. We're done with the NFT craze. We don't want another PFP that isn't really serving us and is creating just FOMO. We want to build solutions to real problems. And I love
Yeah.
you said emotion, but I wrote emotion without ego. That's who we are.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
who we
because that's not putting self first. It's putting all of us first, right? And you're dead on. Like, you could do all my speaking points for me, Elizabeth. Really, you could.
It's easy when I'm with you. I love it. You're
Yeah. You
dropping
get it.
inspiration points. And I wrote here action and impact. And so it got me to
Mhm.
we're
Mhm.
here. First of all, I didn't even get to say this to you, but congratulations on being featured as one of the top 100 women of the
Thank
future. I mean,
you.
great. Why is this waiting? What happened? It's been too long. But the moment is here, and we're early, and we're acknowledging these beautiful women. And I'm so excited to get to know you all kind of little by little through these series. But I'd love, to talk about how we can achieve like true gender equality in this space. And, education is one way, of course, get more women involved, participation, contribution, projects like this, recognition, empowerment is necessary. But I'd love to hear some thoughts from you on how we can truly achieve more women and like true gender equality in this space.
Mm-hmm. So secretly, I'll tell you my dream for it. I'm always crafting this in my head that there's going to be some future council of women leaders in tech that really kind of help set norms and standards for what we will and will not allow for the future of humanity. And I think it's going to take opening up the conversation. I think it's going to take women leaders, like the top 100 women, coming together and talking about the future of tech and talking about what we value for future generations, and really buying in more to a movement as opposed to one-offs. Like, we're all still creating and innovating in our own unique ways, and that's beautiful. That is to be celebrated. So let's like sort of create an opportunity for us to celebrate that together and have some great conversations about the future, about where we're going collectively. But it is going to take this collective effort to do it. And then, of course, there's challenges in that. How do we make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate in that? I think the top 100 women has a great idea about first highlighting everyone's efforts and celebrating them and putting on platforms so that people can see. Because as women, we tend to work hard. We can be tunnel visioned. We're not focused on all the media. We're not looking for PR. We're just doing the work. And that's beautiful. But we also need larger platforms and more people to know this is where we need your support. You need to be following this movement. You need to be a part of what we're creating and buy into it. This is why we value it. This is the value it has for you in it. This is how we're going to sort of shape this movement. So I literally am excited about us collectively celebrating our individual gifts and what we're creating, but also looking at the larger high level overview of what the future is going to look like. And it's those conversations I'm excited about. So I actually hope to be at a lot of events where I can meet all of the amazing women that were nominated. My goal is, can we just get all of us in a room and celebrate for a minute? That feels like incredible to me.
And even to the women looking out, like that are just looking in and seeing these 100, I'm like, why didn't I meet you sooner? Like, where degree of separation to finding women like this and being surrounded, it's beyond empowering. It allows you to keep going. You're alone, and you know that there's other women you can look up to that aren't maybe the most, like celebrities, right? They're not the celebrities space. And they're like, you feel a connection. Oh, this is a human I can actually connect to. I think that's so necessary. Wow. I mean, this was an incredible conversation. Obviously, you and I can go on also forever, but I want to find you and connect with you. Where can we connect with you? What is the best place to
I'm
find?
on LinkedIn, Yolanda Barton. You can follow RevereXR on Instagram, 𝗵𝗺𝗲𝗺. My website is 𝗵𝗺𝗲𝗺.com. And stay tuned. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing for all these amazing women. I wouldn't have been able to meet all of these people over the course of the next couple years. So I just congratulate you guys and appreciate you guys so much for sharing this mission with everyone.
Thank you. We love you too. This is an amazing opportunity just to even connect with you and shine a light on what you're doing. We cannot wait to follow your journey a little obsessively, just for these new to shine a light on when they're going to launch. But we're excited for you. We're here for you. And thank you so much for your time today, Yolanda.
Thank you. Have a blessed day, Elizabeth. I hope to see you in the future.